Welcome. So can you first, Jonathan, introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, I'm Jonathan McPhee, the music director for Lexington Symphony.
And how long have you been music director?
Let's see, last year, this is 15 years, hard to believe, but yeah, 15 years.
Excellent. A long run.
It's actually not as long a run as my other job because I was music director for Boston Ballet for 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I stayed with Lexington and I said, 29 years is long enough, thanks.
Wow. Well, we're very lucky to have you and we appreciate your organization very much. So can you tell us a little bit about when everything started to shut down and the pandemic happened, how did that affect your organization and what happened to the symphony at that point?
Yeah, like a lot of organizations, since we're a performing arts organization and have people who come into the concert hall and group together, and one of the things people forget, even in a pandemic situation, is that we also have a lot of people crowded together on stage. So it's not just the audience attending concerts, but it's actually who you're sitting in very close proximity to in the orchestra. So I was actually coming back from a guest engagement in Texas in March 12th, when all of this broke. And all organizations, including Lexington Symphony, began to cancel concerts. We still had 2 more concerts to do, April and May. And literally all the work that our musicians had to do in their other jobs all got canceled. Everything got dropped. So paralysis on the one hand, panic on the other hand, because one of the problems with freelance musicians, and there are about I saw one estimate that there are about 50 million people in the country who are in this freelance economy. Most of those people do not qualify for unemployment. So you immediately had musicians in the orchestra who are looking at not being able to pay rent, not being able to put food on the table, basically. And the CARES Act started to be talked about, but if you remember, adding the freelance people to it was difficult, and that's what held up the bill, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, it was serious period of fear and trepidation, I think, organizationally, but individually for all the musicians as well.
Yes. So CEL was able to give you a $5,000 emergency grant. Can you tell us a little bit about how you used that and what impact it had on your organization?
Yeah, the impact is probably, first of all, the most important thing, because we were looking at how can we help as an organization, the musicians. And we started with $10,000 in the kitty, and that doesn't go very far for 55 musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And CEL came in with the donation of another $5,000. It did 2 things. One, it energized all of us in the organization to say, oh, somebody else cares besides us. And it was something that we were then able to put out our own fundraising effort. And it was sort of like the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. You know, the community endowment of Lexington has said, we care about your existence, we care about you people, we want to support you. And we repeated that story in our own fundraising campaign. So it actually was not only a vote of confidence that, you know, we care and we want you to be here, but it actually helped us to be able to go to other people and say, see, other people care.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's really good to hear. As co-chair, I'm really happy to hear that. And your fundraising went well, right?
It did. We raised another $13,000. So we put that whole thing together, and there were actually 2 separate checks that went out to musicians in relief fund.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, CARES Act did come in, so a lot of those people qualified for some aid for that as well, but it came later. This was
Right.
the first thing that sort of stopped that gap of, oh my God, how am I gonna live until something happens? And then some people, some of the musicians, even with the CARES Act, didn't qualify.
Mm.
So it was a very important gesture from CEL, and we are very grateful.
Great. Thank you. Well, we're very grateful to have you in the community. So what is the status now with the symphony as we look to a new, season here in September? What's changed? What's different? How are you still responding?
We have a lot going on, actually. So the hardest thing for us was getting past, oh my God, I can't do that, right? So
Mhm.
if your core activities are performing on stage for people in the audience, you can't do that.
Mhm.
So once you get past what you can't do, then you think about, well, what could we do that we've never been able to do before because it's not part of how we think? So there actually are a couple of ways. We just announced our new season, I think 2 weeks ago. And the first thing that's happened is we have something called takeout concerts.
Mhm.
So if you go to our lexingtonsymphony.org, there's a whole page on takeout concerts. And what that is you basically book a group of musicians who will come out and do a 30-minute live concert, socially distanced in your yard. You can invite your friends. So that's taken off. I just actually saw an email today that had very exciting news about a lot of these that people have already asked for. As far as the season next year, we early on, about end of April, knew that we were not going to be able to do live concerts until at the earliest February. So February, April, and May concerts, we are planning at the moment to do live. If it turns out that it's a bad idea February,
Mhm.
we'll let everybody know and we'll retool a little bit. But what we are doing that's very exciting is we are partnering with Lex Media, and we are going to put out 4 TV shows.
Mhm.
And the idea is, there's a lot of YouTube things of musicians doing little Hollywood Squares thing, or Brady Bunch squares. And most people don't realize that's fake.
Mhm.
So they're like lip syncing with their instrument, with their iPhone, and then they replace everything with a recording underneath it, which is why it sounds so good.
Right.
So we decided, okay, that misses the point. The point is we want to engage with our audience and we want to perform for them, but we also want to have a dialogue. So if you think about something you can't do when you go to a normal concert, and you may be sitting there and watching a concert, and then you think, man, that violin solo sounded really hard. I wonder how long she had to practice that. Well, you can't just stop the concert and ask that question, right? So on the premiere of each of these shows, the audience watching can think of questions. And then at the break between the segments that we do, we're going to take those questions. So people will email, we'll have directions on the screen how to ask your question. And I'll be emceeing in between, and I'll say, oh, Mary from Lexington has a question about why are you wearing brown socks instead of black socks on
Your
stage?
black shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll have the musicians on Zoom at that point to be able to flip the question over to them. And we'll do a couple minutes of quick Q&A from the audience, and then we'll go into the next performance sequence. And we actually, we just finished 4 days of recording in Cary Hall, which is, Cary Hall is our home, and we want to make sure that people realize that that is our home, and we are looking forward to the day that we can return to Cary Hall.
Mhm.
And so we've recorded a whole series of solo pieces, duets, trios, quintets, and then we did a very ambitious project that we're still in the middle of editing, which is to do some full symphonic stuff when you can only have a maximum of 14 people on the stage at one time. So it'll all be real. It's all sound that we did in Cary Hall, but I had to record the section, or the whole orchestra, in 4 different sections.
Different sections.
And then we're going to line them up, and hopefully that's my project next week. I get the video, and we'll see if we can get it all to line up musically. It should. My gut instinct is good on this one.
All right. They're professional musicians. They should be in time, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
as long as they follow the conductor, and everything should be fine.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot. You've really pivoted, and they've really been innovative. So that's really excellent. So what else would you like the community to know? How can we help, the symphony get through this time? Is there something that you would want people to know about?
Well, watch for the information when we blast it out there for these concerts, because the first one will be live.
Mm-hmm.
We encouraged everybody to watch it. If you think about the shows as a cross between a variety show and a telethon, that's it. So we've got some good information. It's great music. It's great playing. We will then tape that premiere show. Lex Media is going to then rebroadcast it for the month until we get to the new one.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is we want to be there for the people in Lexington. We want them to participate with us as audience in a way that they've never been able to do before, and that we've never been able to do before. I mean, how often do you have a cellist stand up in the orchestra and say, I just want to say something about this piece here?
Right.
So we're using this opportunity to not only keep our musicians employed, because they get to do this,
Yeah.
but hopefully inspire the audience. We've picked very careful pieces that cover a wide variety of things. We've also featured education as a big part of our mission. So
Mm-hmm.
we've actually picked out a few very talented high school students, in one case recent graduate, and we brought them in and recorded them too, so they get to do a spot on these. So each one will have that sort of educational spot, as well as performances by our people. But the community is very important to us. Education is very important to us. We don't want people to forget that we're there.
Right. Right. Well, and we don't want to lose you in Lexington for sure. So we're very pleased that things have worked out for you. And thank you. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything else to let the community know about?
I think that the Community Endowment of Lexington is a gem too, that people need to be aware of, because the fact that you support various members of the community in ways that are important to each one of those participating members. So I applaud the work that CEL does, and we are now a recipient and very proud to be one. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we realized, one of our major focus areas is arts and culture. And we realized early on in the pandemic, a lot of people were thinking immediately about food insecurity and other things, which of course are very important, but we realized the arts, they need attention. And we're very lucky in Lexington to have an amazing symphony that's professional. I can walk down the street and watch an amazing symphony. It's really a privilege.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jonathan. We wish you much luck. I will be Watching on Lex Media. When does that start? When's your first concert?
First concert is September 26th
September
at
6th
7:30.
at 7:30.
Right.
Okay. You can find it on Lex Media and streaming, or how does it work? Yeah.
Actually, we're sending it out through a variety of portals. So Lex Media, yes, it's going to be in their schedule. You
Okay.
can go to our website. We'll have a portal on the website, and the website will also have program notes. So if you want to flip through that, or you can watch your big screen TV and use your computer to look at program notes. And then we're looking at how to connect it to Facebook and YouTube Live as well.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of different ways to connect with us.
Wow. That's great. Excellent.
And we're learning a lot while we're doing it.
I suppose, right? We're all becoming technology
Yes.
experts. Yeah.
Yeah. What you never thought you would have to know.
Right. Exactly. We're all Zoom experts, and yeah, a lot of recording. Well, thank you. I wish you the best, and we will talk to you again. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
All
you,
right.
Marianne.
Take care.